is coming out of game preview later this summer, and they've brought us an exclusive announcement trailer. Take a look.
Wow, to tell us more about what we just saw, we're joined by Rivals of Aether project lead Dan Fornace. How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing great. Excited to be here at E3.
That looked lovely, and it kind of a little bit like you sort of dipped your chocolate into my peanut butter. That sounds really weird now that I say that out loud. But how did Ori and Sign end up in Rivals of Aether?
Yeah, so this partnership has been a long time in the making, actually. So before I went independent and created Rivals, I was actually working at Microsoft Studios, and I got to work with Moon Studios and Microsoft on Ori and the Blind Forest back when that was in development. So I got to know Thomas a bit, and then after I left, I would always like Skype message him, and I'd be like, wouldn't it be great if we could put Ori into Rivals of Aether as a guest fighter? And he's like, yeah, that'd be really cool. You should pitch the idea to Microsoft. So then after a lot of help from the Microsoft team, we were able to get Ori as our first DLC character for Rivals of Aether. So it's the first character that's not from like the original universe that we created.
Yeah.
It's the first guest character.
Did you bribe them with fancy lunches?
Oh, I bribed them a lot.
It's like, I will give you a mayonnaise sandwich, but just to borrow them for a little while. I mean, how did you kind of remain true to obviously like the Moon Studios' beloved characters as well? That's obviously quite important.
Yeah, so we were really fortunate that Ori and the Blind Forest is a great platformer game. So we had a lot of moves to pull from. That's one of the things we tried to do, is to keep the character as true to the game as possible.
Yeah.
So a lot of the specials you'll see on the character are all directly from Ori and the Blind Forest. He can use the Spirit Flame with Sign. He can bash, he can charge, he can super jump. And we mixed in a couple of our own attacks as well. So he's got like a Rivals player and then also an Ori and the Blind Forest player.
Okay, so what are some of the different game modes that we're going to be seeing within the game?
Yeah, so Rivals of Aether is on game preview right now. It hasn't launched yet on Xbox One. So this summer, you can look forward to Story Mode, which is a single-player experience where players can learn more about the characters. We also have Abyss Mode, which is kind of unique to our game. It's a 1 to 4 player like horde mode, like something you would see in Gears of War.
All right. How does that work?
So the way it works is, like horde mode, you go through waves of challenges, and they're all different. So the first wave might be a lot of weak enemies, but the next one might be an armored enemy, and he's really strong.
Okay.
And other challenges like that.
Are we going to see any other kind of new game enhancements as well? Or?
Yeah, so on Xbox One, we're going to have achievements with 1,000 gamer score. I know a lot of people are excited to finally get achievements in Rivals, because if you've been playing on Xbox One in-game preview, you've basically been tearing up online, but you haven't gotten to get the full features.
Can you tell us what some of the Chivos might be?
Some of the achievements?
Yeah, can you?
Yeah, so we have them for story mode. So I can say if you're an achievement hunter and you want to get a couple points, I would go into story mode first, because you're going to get like 400 to 500 points like right out of the gate. And then we also have some for the challenging player, the player who wants to, 100% the game.
What's kind of the experience been like to make this game for you? I mean, what have you learned along the way? So it seems like it's been kind of a bit of a windy, well, I suppose every game is a bit of a windy process, right?
Right, so it was interesting. When I was at Microsoft, I got to work on XBLA. So I was working with a lot of indies, and this whole time, this like fiery kind of envy was building because I wanted to be I wanted to be making my own indie game. I wanted to kind of build up.
Yeah.
So when I finally got the chance, I built a game that I was very familiar with. I played Super Smash Brothers competitively, so I built a game that's that kind of spirit. And it has been a lot longer than I expected. Mostly because when I first started, the scope was way smaller. It was going to be less characters. There wasn't going to be online. But then as we got more and more opportunities, the game got bigger and bigger. So now it's really great to finally be into the phase where we're just adding extras. We're adding like cherries on top of it now.
And how's kind of the community feedback influenced the game? Has it changed it dramatically or just kind of more fine-tuned it?
It's definitely changed it. So being on Game Preview means we've been changing the balance since we launched. We actually launched last July, and we're going to come out of it this summer. So we had about a year of feedback. And
obviously that's the trickiest thing, really, the balance, because if it's a little bit off, you will never hear the end of it.
Right. So all of our characters, all our players will complain about every character, right? Every character could be said to be overpowered. So that's good. That means every character is too good. But the balance has always been a back and forth. It's something that we really enjoy. We actually have big tournament scene now where we go out, we'll travel. We're going to Florida. We're going to Washington, D.C. for Rivals tournaments. So these new characters, I'm excited to see how they change up the competitive scene.
And have you got any sort of advice for anyone out there who has that fiery anger within them as well, that they really, really want to make a game? Like, what have you kind of learned over this process? You know, because there must have been some big kind of learning curves.
Yeah, my advice would be, so what I did is I went the route of saving up money. I didn't do the Kickstarter route. I think a lot of people try to go, how am I going to crowdfund this game? I think one way to look at it is how can you start the game, how can you kickstart it yourself?
Yeah.
And then once you have something exciting, that's when we started adding people. Originally, it was just me and a composer on the game.
Sure.
But then once we had something that people were excited about, we were able to add artists. We have great backgrounds now that are way better than I can draw. We have all the new character animations you saw are not by me anymore because they look a lot better than when I was animating. So I would say get started, get something cool, and then people will join on when you have something cool.
So kind of just do it yourself a little bit to start off. Get as far as you can, then ask for a bunch of cash.
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Well, look, thank you so much, Dan. It looks absolutely beautiful. Congratulations on bringing it. And now